And we've got a little bit from Ryan Shirky now. What's he said, Carve?
He's just posted on social media in French.
Hence your reticence.
I did do French A-level, but my French is a little bit rusty. But with the help of a translation app, I can tell you that...
Wholly a translation app.
This bit is in French.
Yeah, I know, but you just... Yeah.
But basically what he's saying is, if you're a Manchester City fan, there's not really much about Manchester City in here. It's basically a message saying goodbye to Leon. He's saying, I've got thousands of emotions, thousands of memories. I can't express in words or convey everything that this club means to me. It was an honour for me to play for Leon. And he finishes off by saying, I was born Leon and I will die Leon. So it is really saying goodbye to Leon. I can't really see a mention of Manchester City at all. I'm sure that is to come because I'm sure Manchester City's in-house media will be interviewing him and we'll be seeing that interview shortly.
Yeah, well, we will talk Manchester City now with European football expert Kevin Hatchard, who joins us now. Kevin, very good evening. So let's start with Ryan Shirky then. Good deal for City?
I think an incredible deal. I think he is somebody that has enormous potential. If you look at his season that he's just had, he's finally found consistency. We've known for quite some time how talented he was. It was always going to be about whether he could put that together game after game after game, and he's done that. He's scored goals, he's made goals, not just in Ligue 1, but also in the Europa League as well. And this is somebody that very much feels like he's ready to take the next step in his career. If you look at what he did for France, for example, in the semi-finals of the Nations League, completely changed that game when he came on against Spain. France were down and out, and he nearly dragged them all the way back, scored a brilliant goal. And this is somebody who can play in multiple positions as well. I think City fans should be immensely excited about this.
Indeed. Should Chelsea fans, on the other hand, be really disappointed that they didn't get Jamie Gittins over the line?
I think that may well happen in the fullness of time, but it obviously isn't going to happen in time for the Club World Cup. But in a way, we shouldn't be surprised. I mean, it wasn't that long ago they were being linked with a move for 35 million. That was never going to be enough to land Gittins, because the thing you have to remember is that he is Dortmund's big bargaining chip for this summer. They don't have that many saleable assets, and they see him as somebody that if they are going to let go this summer, is somebody they want to extract the maximum value from. He doesn't necessarily fit in with their current coach, Niko Kovac's methods or system. He wasn't a regular starter towards the end of the campaign, but he's still somebody who has immense talent, and Dortmund know that.
OK, well, they didn't get that done, and they've walked away from Mike Maignan deal. Is that a mistake?
I think it is. I think if you look at Chelsea's setup at the moment, they don't have that many leaders, I would argue. And I think he's somebody that still has a lot of years left in his career, but he's got a lot of experience. You're talking about France's number one. Has he had a great season? No, not particularly, but Milan didn't in general. But I think when he's at his top level, he's one of the best goalkeepers around. So I think for the numbers that were being talked about, I just wonder if Chelsea have walked away from a big opportunity there, because he would have been, I believe, a significant upgrade on what they have right now.
I know you know Jeremy Frimpong, so let's start with him. How good a deal is that for Liverpool?
I think it's really exciting. He's very different to Trent Alexander-Arnold in the way that they interpret that position, because Alexander-Arnold's all about what he can do with the ball at his feet in terms of passing and in terms of crosses. Frimpong's very much about carrying the ball. He's got loads of energy, loads of pace, and he's somebody that's played multiple positions for Bayer Leverkusen. He's played as a wing-back, he's played a bit of full-back, but mainly higher up the pitch. He's also played as a wide forward. And he's somebody that was a big part of them winning an unbeaten league and cup double by Leverkusen. It had never been done before in German history, and he was a big part of that happening.
Yeah, and of course, they've got him, Liverpool. They're after Florian Wirtz. How good a deal would that be for them?
I think it would be an enormous statement from Liverpool, because the perceived wisdom in Germany for quite some time has been that Bayern were going to get him if he was going to leave in the summer. But Bayern seemed to have walked away from that in terms of knowing it wasn't going to happen for them. There's a bit of wailing and gnashing of teeth in Munich at the moment, a bit of finger pointing, because that was a deal they so wanted to get done. But it seems that Wirtz has decided against staying in Germany, and Liverpool are front runners. And I think if they bring him in, injury permitting, I think you're talking about a top player for Liverpool for years to come, and somebody who I think would become their key player in the fullness of time. He is immensely talented, but he also has the work rate to go with it.
Kevin, in the last hour, I put this to Andy Brassel. We were talking Arsenal and their pursuit of Benjamin Sesko, and he said if it was him, he'd be going for Gyökeres. Would you?
I think we have a slight disagreement here, me and Andy. I think if you want proven track record, somebody will come in and maybe score lots of goals straight away, I think Gyökeres is the guy you want. I think if you're looking slightly longer term, I think Sesko maybe has a higher ceiling. I think there is an incredible talent there. He's tall, he's quick, he's great in the air, he scores outrageous goals. That consistency, I think, will come. I think he's got rough edges that need smoothing, but I think there is an incredibly talented player there. And in a pretty poor Leipzig team this season, he performed, he scored goals. And so I think in the longer term, I would go for Sesko.
That's interesting. I want to talk about Brighton's move for Charalampos Kostaulas. Tell us about him.
Yeah, he's been a regular scorer at youth level for Greece. He's been a regular scorer for Olympiacos at youth level, and he seems to have made that graduation to senior level very well. He's been playing in the Greek Super League, where Olympiacos did very well. He's also been playing in Europe as well, and he's been seen as a bit of a rising star in Greek football for quite some time. And of course, they've already brought in Simas as well. They brought him in and loaned him straight back out to Nuremberg, his previous club. So it could well be that Brighton have nipped in ahead of a lot of rivals and got another good one on their hands there.
And finally, I want to talk Real Madrid. Dean Howson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, now Madrid players. Good business for Madrid?
I think amazing business, especially Howson. I think Howson's one of the most exciting defensive talents in Europe. I think he could be a starting centre-back for Real Madrid in Spain for the next 10 years. I think on the ball, he's incredible. I think his defensive work is improving all the time. He's benefited from playing for Andoni Iraola in the last year. Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think he's very exciting as well. But actually, if you're looking at the two, Howson, I think, is maybe the one that excites me the most in the long term, but make no mistake, Trent Alexander-Arnold is a brilliant signing. And I think that what this speaks to is Real Madrid's determination to try and win that Club World Cup. I think they're really wounded about what happened this season against Barcelona, not only in the league, but in the Cups as well. And I think they want to make a statement by winning that tournament.
Kevin Hatchard whizzing us around Europe. Kevin, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Let's talk Liverpool. Let's talk Wirtz. Just remind us where we are with this deal. Florian Wirtz.
Well, look, the player has chosen Liverpool. He could have gone to Manchester City. I think he could have gone to Bayern Munich. Everybody expected him to go to Bayern Munich. But he has said, no, I want to move to Liverpool. I think that suits Bayer Leverkusen because they'd much rather he goes to Liverpool than Bayern Munich. The issue has been, agreeing a price. And obviously, Bayer Leverkusen have kind of been pitching him as a player who's worth 150 million euros. Now, I don't think Liverpool would pay that much for him. That's about 126 million pounds. I think Liverpool are willing to pay around 109, 110, maybe 115 million pounds for him, which would make it almost a British record transfer. And we're at the situation where they're having talks and trying to hammer out a deal.
Who holds the cards at the moment then?
Who holds the cards? Well, he's a Leverkusen player, so I suppose Leverkusen hold the cards, but they know they've got a player on their hands who wants to move to Liverpool. And I think the players that Liverpool are signing this summer are players who want to go there, and Liverpool know that. He wants to go to Liverpool. Kerkez wants to go to Liverpool. Frimpong wants to go to Liverpool. So once they've got that message loud and clear from the players' camp that the players want to move to Liverpool, then it's up to Liverpool to negotiate a deal which suits Liverpool. And obviously that takes time. But I think most Liverpool fans are pretty relaxed about the fact that they will get Wirtz, and I'm pretty sure they'll follow that up with a deal for Milos Kerkez. Although obviously they've got to make sure that Bournemouth get what Bournemouth think the player is worth, because otherwise they won't sell him.
Dean, they've already got Frimpong. If Liverpool get those other two additions, are they once again the team to beat?
Yes, of course. I think it's the price that's kind of made me sort of sit back. Liverpool, I don't think notoriously you'd think would go to that level. It's clearly just how highly they rate him as a player. You know, still very young, still lots of development to come. You know, double figures in the league for goals and assists. Incredible energy, dynamism, creativity to take away from the pressures of the likes of Salah and give them that option. Can play multiple positions. I've seen him play as a 10, as a deeper midfielder, and then even as a forward. You know, not playing right up there, but floating in as a number 9 almost. So for them to reach that sort of level, I think actually says more than the player himself. I think of where Liverpool see themselves and the recruitment and what they now really want to push for a bit of dominance.
Yeah, that is all these clubs have got to get deals over the line for this first window of the summer. 9 minutes. They do it, you'll hear it here. Right, I want to go back to Arsenal. We spoke about Benjamin Sesko in the last hour and a possible move there. What's happened with Zubimendi? Is it happening?
Yeah, it's happening. Yeah, there's been lots of talk, particularly in the Spanish press, about maybe Real Madrid trying to get one over on Arsenal and sign Martin Zubimendi. The couple of people that I've spoken to, a couple of sources in Spain have said, no, Real Madrid are not in for him. He's 100% going to Arsenal. It's the same noises we're getting here as well. We expect him to have a medical very, very soon. Everything else about that deal seems to have been agreed in principle. It's a £51 million release clause that Arsenal will pay to Real Sociedad to get this one over the line. Personal terms agreed in principle as well for the Spain international. And there's nothing to suggest that he won't be an Arsenal player come the start of pre-season. So every expectation that Martin Zubimendi will become an Arsenal player.
Dean, we started this programme and we said Real Madrid were irresistible. He plays for Spain. Why wouldn't he want to go there?
We're not sure they want him.
Quite sure, yeah. I think it's a case of is it definitely there for him to make that decision? Because it is such a difficult decision. Ultimately, it would be a magnificent signing for Arsenal. I think in that midfield area, I think we've seen a bit more freedom from Rice. I think we need to see more of that from Declan Rice being able to advance. Zubimendi would be that type of player you'd want. Defensively, obviously, very, very good. But in terms of that build-up play that's so important to free up Ødegaard and Rice and the likes, I think is going to be important going forwards for Arsenal. So I think it would be a terrific signing for them.
Do Arsenal have to win something next season?
They needed to win something this season, ultimately. But can we see a development in the team? Yes. But how long do you keep seeing the development without the end product of a trophy? Not much longer. But you can see the development of the team. Can Arsenal and the ownership just give Arteta that little bit more? Stop being so stubborn with that striking position. I think if they get that, I do think it's just the missing piece, really, to what they've built.
Just on Zubimendi as well, we're talking about, was there this talk about Real Madrid? I think Zubimendi might have made up his mind that Arsenal was going to be his destination last summer. Because if you remember, Liverpool had that deal agreed, and then he decided he was going to stay at Real Sociedad. That was partly because it was very difficult for him to leave Real Sociedad, and we know what it is for these players from the Basque country to leave clubs like Real Sociedad and Athletic Bilbao. But the information that I've got as well from this potential deal is that Arsenal made their interest known last summer that they wanted to exercise this release clause for Martin Zubimendi, but they couldn't do it last summer. Because if you think about their squad, they had Jorginho in that squad and they had Thomas Partey in that squad. Now, they're still in talks with Thomas Partey over a new contract. Jorginho has now left. So there was always going to be a priority position for them. And I think the relationship that Mikel Arteta has with certain players, that might have influenced Martin Zubimendi to think, you know what, I might just wait here because there's an opportunity for me to go to Arsenal. So the whole Real Madrid issue, I don't know whether that was put into the press maybe to hurry Arsenal along, but I think Arsenal were pretty relaxed throughout the whole situation in that they knew they were going to exercise that release clause. They knew that they'd sorted out these personal terms. It's just a case of getting the medical done and signing on the contract.
Do Arsenal, Carve, just need a couple of tweaks to be able to challenge? Because we're seeing Manchester City with a massive rebuild.
Yeah,
Arsenal just a little bit?
Yeah, obviously they finished second, and the team who are ahead of them, Liverpool, are going to strengthen. The teams behind them are going to strengthen as well. So they do need to refresh their squad. Every club needs to do that in the Premier League every summer window, because if you don't, your rivals are going to overtake you.
What do you think, Dean? Do you think, we've said that they need to win something. How much do they need to add to their squad to win something?
I think it's making sure that when they do have those injuries to key players like Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard and the striker, that you have the depth to then turn to players that come in and don't weaken your side too much. I think Manchester City were the best exponents of that over the last 5 or 6 years when he made changes that even we were sort of raising our eyebrow. Why would you leave Kevin De Bruyne out? Well, Bernardo came in and was magnificent. So they didn't drop that, and Arsenal aren't there yet. And the amount of games I watched, they were defensively magnificent at times, created the chances, missed the chances. We're all saying the same thing. And at the very, very elite level, it's those players that make the difference. It is in those key moments against the likes of PSG when they had those chances to score early on in that second leg, they didn't take them. And that is what will cost them eventually.
Yeah, indeed. All right, look at that. 3 minutes, just 3 minutes and a bit to go. And we will find out who has done the deals this evening. Quick word on Chelsea, Dean. Have they had a real change in strategy? Because Carve said earlier they're really relaxed in this window. That doesn't, relaxed and Chelsea in transfer windows doesn't seem to go together.
No, I mean, last summer was so chaotic. I thought Maresca handled it brilliantly because he had to make some big decisions and leave some big names out of that playing squad, and then the club had to decide what to do with those players. There's probably still that follow-on even this summer, but it looks like they've maybe got things in order, and they've got a young, exciting squad. And we talked about Mike Maignan there. Maybe that bit of experience now that they can drop in for Maresca to help those young players develop even more. I actually thought he overachieved this season with what he did, with the start that they made in that transfer and what he had to do to then get to the end season with what they have. I thought he overachieved.
Carvo, you know Chelsea well. What do you make of the way they're going about their business in this window?
I think it's easy to be carried away. Sometimes when you read a lot and follow social media, and there's obviously lots of developments about Chelsea could be signing France #1 goalkeeper Mike Maignan, you get sort of whipped up in a frenzy and you want it to happen. The same with Jamie Gittins. You're like, Jamie Gittins, it's talks, bids. The bid's been made, it's rejected, there's interest, there's that. And you get whipped up into a frenzy and you want the deal to happen. But sometimes you've just got to take a step back and say, OK, is Mike Maignan really that good at the moment? What's been happening to him at AC Milan? And what's his injury record like? Has he been making a lot of mistakes? Jamie Gittins, OK, he's a good player, but is he worth £50 million? Why has he been dropped by Dortmund? Why has he only scored 1 goal this year? These are all the kinds of discussions that clubs are having, and they're not just going to be swayed by what's trending on social media. I know we're part of that as well. There's an enormous amount of interest in transfers, but just because a transfer has been talked about doesn't mean a club is going to actually do that deal.
What do you think, Dharmesh? Do you think Chelsea need to do more business, and the way their business has changed over this window, maybe?
I think not too long ago, when Chelsea were embarking on a particular transfer window, it was almost looked like the cynics were out, weren't they, when they were saying, why are they handing these guys 7-year contracts? And now it seems, after the season they've had, maybe we should be praising Chelsea for the way they've handled it.
Maybe we should. All right, listen. The window is nearly closed. Look at that. 20 seconds to go. We were waiting on Chelsea to do a deal. We were waiting on Manchester City to do 2 deals. Have they managed to get them over the line? That is the situation. 5 seconds. We will see. Well, I can tell you, deal has been done. Look at that. Let's go straight to the Etihad. Sani Radula is there for us. Sani, what have you got?
Manchester City have done it. They have signed Ryan Cherki from Olympique Lyonnais. It is a 5-year deal for one of the hottest properties in European football. Been lighting up for Lyon. We've seen him in the Europa League. 20 assists this season. International debut for France. Only went and set up a goal and a volley as well. So he has signed for Manchester City. It's a £34 million deal. 21 years old. We still haven't got any more news on Tijani Reinders. That was the other player we were looking at, central midfielder for AC Milan. But in time for the Club World Cup, Ryan Cherki is a Manchester City player.
Sani, live from the Etihad, thank you very much. Dean, Cherki, does that send shivers down the rest of the Premier League that City have got that one over the line as well?
I think with how quickly they're trying to fill that De Bruyne-shaped hole with someone of the talent of Cherki, I think is a big sign. It's a big sign that they've moved very quickly. They want to fill that void that they're clearly going to have with the talent of Kevin De Bruyne, but he has got the talent. He's already shown it for Lyon, and he's certainly already shown it for France. That goal the other night was pretty special, and probably got the excitement levels even higher for Manchester City. And to get it done so quickly, and we're going to get to see him so soon as well.
Carve, what do you make of the way City have done their business?
Well, we're not really used to City sort of doing this much business. Sort of great volume of transfers in January and also so far this summer. But their chairman, Khaldoun Al-Mubarak, came out when he was interviewed by their in-house media a couple of weeks ago, and he held his hands up and he said, look, we made mistakes in the transfer window. We didn't sign players. We really should have signed players, especially last summer. And I think they've been trying to address that. One thing I would say about Cherki is it looks like a great deal at £34 million because a player as good as he is, the sort of flashes of him that I've seen and how highly he's rated in France and the kind of other big clubs who are looking at him, that is a really good price to pay for him. I don't know if it's something to do with the financial issues at Lyon. Those have been sort of well documented. Maybe it was because of that Lyon felt like they had to sell him this summer. But I think potentially he could be a really exciting player to watch. You know, when the season starts, the Premier League starts next season. When is it? Like 2.5 months' time.
Not long.
He's the kind of player you'll be wanting to see just how good he is.
Listen, with regard to Manchester City, we were expecting, or they were trying to get 4 deals over the line, weren't they? Rayan Aït-Nouri from Wolves went through yesterday.
Done.
Marcus Bettinelli.
Done.
Ryan Cherki.
Done.
And now Tijani Reinders is the one that we're waiting for. Now, I've just sent in a text to find out if the Reinders deal is the subject of a deal sheet. Remember, I was explaining before that they had to go in between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock to give them 2 extra hours because Manchester City haven't announced anything on Tijani Reinders as yet. It'll be interesting to see if they needed to do a deal sheet for that particular deal. I'm just waiting to find out if that has actually gone in or not.
OK, that could be a bit of extra time for us. I'm quite good in extra time. You've got the legs. Let's talk Chelsea then.
Can I just ask Darmish one question?
Oh, no. Sorry, no.
With the Reinders deal, so
yes.
If Manchester City have put a deal sheet in by 5 minutes ago,
Yes.
then and the deal sheet, everything's right on it and correct, and the signatures and everything's in the right place, then there's still 2 hours for them to actually complete the deal.
Correct.
Okay.
Just asking the
So
questions.
it could
that
well
viewers are
happen.
asking.
Chelsea, we haven't heard from them yet. Will they feel like they failed because they haven't got deals that they wanted to get
I
over?
can't believe this.
Mike
Chelsea get
Mannion.
criticised when they sign too many players, and now
No,
you're
I'm
having a
just
go.
asking
You're
the
having a go
question.
at them for not signing any players.
Well, what do you think?
I think they did really well because they signed Liam Delap.
Yeah.
Lots of other clubs wanted to sign him. That was the priority, and I think, you know, he ticks a lot of boxes for them because he's young, he's developing, he fits into the wage structure. It was only £30 million. They may sign another striker as well, but I think that was the priority this window, and that is the one they're most delighted about. So much so that they want him to play in the Club World Cup for them instead of playing in the under-21 Euros, and he was happy to do that.
Well,
I
let's
don't know
ask
what
our
you
striker. What do you think of him?
I think they'll be frustrated though with obviously Jadon Sancho and Mudryk not available, to not maybe have got, if they are interested, of course, to not have got that done before the Club World Cup, because again, who is going to play that role? Will it be Neto on the left, or Palmer, or whoever they decide to play on that side, Madueke, all more suited to the right hand side? So there'll be a bit of frustration, surely.
Do you think Liam Delap made the right decision? Because we were being told that he was really torn about whether to go to Manchester United or go to Chelsea or go to Newcastle. He had so many options. It was a really, really difficult decision for him. Do you think it's the right decision?
I mean, obviously only time will tell. I think he will have looked at Nicholas Jackson and thought, I think I can take you on and be better than you. And that's what you've got to think. You've got to have that inner confidence. If you're going to a club like Chelsea, where there is going to be competition, you have to look at that and think, I'm going to get in ahead of you. And he'll probably feel that. And that'll be a nice tussle now to see who starts under Maresca in that position.
Have you been impressed with him when you've seen him?
I have, yeah. I mean, I think there's so much more development from Liam Delap. But in a struggling side, I think enough to say there's a real, genuine top-level player there. I think it's too early to know if it's going to really work yet at Chelsea, because I think there's so much more he needs to develop. And it's so different playing in a team that struggles with a team that has plenty of the ball. He's suddenly going to have to be very, very patient when Chelsea keep possession.
In a perverse way, is it sometimes, for a player like Delap, easier to play in a struggling side? Because it seemed like everything went through him and he was the main man. And he's not going to be that main man at a bigger club.
Yeah, it's a great point, because you're right. Everything is fed towards getting the best out of him because they're reliant on him to get the goals to keep them in the Premier League. Chelsea won't look at it in that way. It's more patterns of play, getting the likes of Cole Palmer on the ball. I think that's the thing that impresses me the most about Erling Haaland, is his discipline and patience. To not be involved at all for passages of play after passages of play, making runs and not getting the ball. That really takes a strong mentality to be that player. And that's something that he's going to have to develop, because he won't be used to that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, the window's closed, but there are all sorts of key dates, the first of which is the window opens again in 6 days. So there we've got the Club World Cup starting June 14th. As I say, window opens 16th, 6 days' time. And then, of course, there's the extra registration, which Carve has been telling us about, when they're actually at the Club World Cup tournament. So many key moments to come. As you can see, PSR deadline, that's going to be important. Who's in trouble, who's not. Club World Cup ends. Premier League season begins August 16th. No rest for the players. Transfer deadline, September the 1st. I want to go back to player welfare. It does bother me a bit that there's just no rest.
I think that's why there is such big squads now, is to try and give players a break when you put the pressures under the managers are under. How can you rest your key players? As players, you don't want to. You try telling players to not play in big games. Very, very difficult. And ultimately, you're being paid incredibly well to perform regularly and keep yourself in perfect condition to deal with the physicality of being a professional footballer. So I don't think we can turn around and say, actually, I don't fancy working today. I'm a bit tired. I don't think you can be that person. Yes, we've got to try and, of course, think of those things.
Rodri said it, didn't he? He said,
did.
I'm tired, and then he got a serious injury.
Exactly, yeah, and it's very difficult. But ultimately, you know, that's your job, is to try and be fit, be available, and be able to cope with the rigours of being a professional footballer. I don't think that's going to change.
There's a good release actually from FIFPro, the World Players Union, and they have released almost a set of demands, which is what they're asking for, and it came out today, and they are saying that players should be guaranteed a break of at least 4 weeks every summer with no club or international commitments. They're also saying that players should have 2 weeks of zero communications with club or country. So for 2 weeks every summer, clubs and national associations have to totally leave players alone. Don't call them, don't message them, don't try and monitor what they're eating or what they're doing.
They should do that here.
They're also saying that pre-season should be at least 4 weeks every summer. And players should have a minimum of 2 days recovery between appearances. So lots of demands, you could call them, that FIFPro, the World Players Union, are making about all these concerns that people are having about player workload. I kind of get what Dean is saying, though. It's not like the old days where teams only had one substitute and it was basically the same starting 11 playing games after games after games. These big clubs, especially in the Premier League, have massive squads, and they also can make 5 substitutions as well. So it's not like these players are playing every 3 or 4 days. Some of them are.
Well, you say that, but Pep
Some of them
Guardiola
are.
says, I want a small squad. What must the Manchester City players be thinking?
I know, and the demands of how teams play nowadays with the ball and without the ball. But we used to get 4 weeks off, and I came back a stone overweight. That can't happen anymore. These players are in great condition all year round. You know, the game has changed significantly in terms of how we look at players and their nutrition and their lifestyle and their sleep and all of those things. They couldn't be given a better environment now to cope with what they have to do.
Are they being monitored 52 weeks a year?
Of course.
That's what FIFPro are asking for, just 2 weeks.
And
leave them
I
alone.
understand their point, but unless they come and show us the data that says this is why, here's the data, this is why they have to have it. You can't just say it. There has to be the data behind it, I think.
Did you seriously come back a stone overweight?
Yeah.
So that's what you picked out, that whole conversation.
I know.
What are you doing?
It was a great summer, I can tell you that.
How long would it take in pre-season to get rid of that?
About 10 days.
10 days.
Yeah.
10 days?
Yes.
This is a whole other programme now.
All right, tell you what, take me like 10 years. All right, listen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Manchester City's latest signing.
Pues es una ausencia importante, porque no ya es uno de los jugadores que siempre suele comenzar los partidos en esa escalera. Y vamos a ver hasta qué punto lo siente y lo nota el Barrio, que ha sido un equipo un poco de extremos durante los propios partidos, ¿no? Muchas veces ha empezado mal, luego ha mejorado en el segundo tiempo. Hoy el Barrio tiene que salir con mucha más concentración desde el primer instante, porque esto es un partido de playoff y delante tienen un equipo con mucha calidad como es los Troncos.
Atento está para el cierre, Gil Vidal, segundo palo, Carlas al palo. Adri, ¡gol! ¡Gol del Barrio de Adri de Contreras! El penalti Presi. Mira, y Adri Contreras haciendo de la suya. Se queda en el campo y dice... Ian disparó. ¡Oh! ¡Sácala a llenar! ¡Gol! También Edgar Álvaro, Verdú la deja para Edgar, rompe la barrera, ¡gol, gol, gol! ¡Gol! ¡Tenemos suerte! ¡Gol! Todo tuyo. Ahí está Marmartra, que lanza un bueno. Jugador estrella.
¿A quién ponemos?
¿Será doble jugador estrella?
Sí. ¿Qué quieres? ¿Penalti?
Pues
Vale,
quiere
como
penalti, no quiere
como
quitarle el
penalti.
¡Gol de los troncos! ¡No falla Verdú! ¡Viene el Che! ¡Manu Martín! Al lado de la pelota. A ver, aquí va. Va directo a la pelota. ¡Gol! ¡Perchita! ¡Gol! Para los troncos. Se fue por la clásica, por la segura. Chita, Sorroche con el centro. La bajó muy bien Litus, pase atrás. Edgar. Buen pro en el área. Paufer con el cuero al segundo palo. La tapó. Pérdida la tiene el Che. Se va con toda Carraflana. Rebote para allí. ¡Gol! ¡Gol! ¡Del barrio!
Ian González, habéis repetido la suerte de las chicas y estáis en semi. Enhorabuena.
Pues nada, muy contentos. Parece que ya empezamos a salir del pozo en el que nos metimos en Liga después de esas 4 derrotas seguidas. Y nada, a Madrid seguro.
Os enfrentáis al igual que las chicas a Ultimate Móstoles, guerra de clubes parece, ¿eh?
Sí, esperamos a ver si podemos ganarles ya, que desde que salí de allí de Móstoles no le ganó ningún partido. Así que nada, DJ, voy a por ti.
O sea que celebración de gol si marcas, a lo loco, todo, ¿no?
Tanto no, pero ojalá le meta uno.
Bueno, enhorabuena, a disfrutarlo.
Muchas gracias.